Spurs just won the Europa League. Spurs have just won the Europa League. Let me ask you a serious question. Because as a Benfica fan, if someone came to me right now and said, Skills, would you rather end second place in your league or would you rather win the Europa League? The Europa League. The Europa League. I would rather win the Europa League and go into the Champions League through the Europa League. That's how I would rather do it. That's how I would take that. Arsenal fans, would you rather have came in second place in the Premier League, or would you rather have gone into the Champions League directly by winning the Europa League and walking away with the trophy? But you would have not been able to see that awesome win against Real Madrid. But is a win over Real Madrid in the Champions League better than winning, raising a European trophy, even though it's the Europa League, raising the European trophy? Is it better? For me, I say no. I would rather raise a European trophy. So what Spurs just did today is huge. It's massive. It's monumental. It's big for the club. It's amazing for the money they're gonna bring in. They brought a trophy in, and now they have something to look really, really forward to next season. Manchester United, on the other hand, has nothing to look forward to. They had a terrible league. Europa League came up short. They have nothing to look forward to. The only thing you can look forward to is the rebuild and the players they are going to have, right? What new players, what players will come in, what players will leave, what players will be here, what team are we going to have? Spurs now gets to go into like a rebuild type situation for the Premier League with a trophy and with the money of qualifying for the Champions League. Because when you qualify for the Champions League, it's a lot of money. And I don't care if you're a European, a Premier League team, a Portuguese team, a French team. I don't care if you're Real Madrid or Barcelona. Getting that money for making the Champions League every single season is important. It's a lot of money. It's a good amount of money. No matter how rich your team is, it's a good amount of money. So with that being said, Spurs gets money for making the Champions League. They get a trophy to bring back to their fans. And this disaster of a season no longer looks like a disaster of a season, because next season when it starts, Spurs is going to be in the same place that Liverpool, that Arsenal are in. That's huge for them. That's huge. They took a season where they are absolutely having a terrible season in the Premier League, and now they're going to the Champions League. Now, there's two ways to look at this, bro, and it's very important. A lot of people, a lot of United fans, a lot of fans are going to be calling for RUBEN AMORIM. And I get it. I understand it, right? Because, like, if I was a Benfica fan, and this would be happening to my team, I'd be calling for him too. But the thing is, I think Ruben did a really good job getting this team to the final. And if I'm being honest with you, I think they were the better team today. All around. Spurs fans, don't get mad at me for saying this. I think United was the better team. They were unlucky on the goal they suffered, and they were unlucky not to score a goal. They were very unlucky. The Spurs keeper made some amazing saves, especially the last save of the game on Luke Shaw. So for me, Manchester United dominated the game, had more chances, but another thing, just like the team I support, Benfica, I just felt that they don't create enough when they're on the ball. Now, a lot of people might give me an L for that take, but it's cool to have possession. But this nonsense of giving it out to your right back to your left back to your right back, cross the ball in, always looking for Harry Maguire's head. For me, it just felt that I just feel like that's what teams do when they have no creativity. And that's what I believe my problem with my Benfica is this season. I feel like they just don't have someone creative enough through the middle of the park to make something happen. You know, like Bruno Fernandes kept getting the ball. And I'm talking about the last 20 minutes of this game. Bruno Fernandes kept getting the ball. And instead of trying to make a pass out to the sides, which they were constantly doing, he would try to make something happen through the middle. But every time he tried to make that pass, it would just bounce off of somebody. And that was kind of their strategy the whole game. The one thing I do blame RUBEN AMORIM for, this is just my opinion, you guys might give me a huge L for this. And I think the same thing when he was at Sporting, yeah? You got to be able to change tactics in a game like this. You got to be able to change formations. And I truly believe when they brought in the striker, right? Why did you take out Højlund? I think two strikers should have stayed in this game. You're down. This is it. It's one and done. You win. If you win the Europa League. You get to go to the Champions League. If you lose, you're out of everything. You're just a terrible season, right? And instead of bringing in two strikers, you kind of kept everything the same, and then put like Harry Maguire towards the end of the game as like the second striker. For me, this was poorly done. I also believe that Garnacho should have been in much earlier. I thought Mason Mount had a very, very slow start to the game, never really got into the game. And I think it was very poor game for Mount, and I think Garnacho looked way more lively, so I think he should have been in maybe around halftime. So with what I'm saying to you here, obviously that's me saying from the outside, looking in from the outside, but the one thing me and my cousin David is a huge Sporting fan, and we talk every day about Benfica Sporting. I'm a Benfica fan, he's a Sporting fan. He gives me his opinion, I give him my opinion. Like a lot of people think that Sporting fans and Benfica fans and Porto fans are supposed to hate each other. It's not how me and my cousin are, bro. We watch games together. When Sporting loses, I laugh a little bit with him. He laughs when Benfica loses, and that's it. We just laugh and we keep going. Sporting won the title. I congratulated him, and we just started talking about the next season. If I thought Gyökeres was going to leave, all that stuff, right? And when Ruben was at Sporting, my cousin would always say, I don't think he's ready for the big teams yet because the guy doesn't know how to change formations yet. Like, for example, there would be games in Portugal where he's losing, and you just didn't need to stay with these three center backs. A center back should have came out for an attacker, right? And this game, in my opinion, lads, and again, this is just my opinion. I know Luke Shaw's not considered a center back, but he was as a center back. It was Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and Euro, right? I think at this point of the game, especially really the second half, but more towards the last 30 minutes, Spurs just didn't come out of their half, and they weren't coming out of their half. So at this point, what is the point of having a Luke Shaw on the field, a Euro on the field, and a Harry Maguire? I think at that point is where you really risk it for the biscuit, and you take out a Luke Shaw, and you keep Harry Maguire and Euro as main center backs. You take out a Luke Shaw, and you bring in a second striker, or you get Garnacho on the field quicker. For me, I think this is even, and here's another way to look at it, right? Let's say Mason Mount, he wanted to keep Mason Mount on longer. That's fine. So Luke Shaw was playing center back, but not really a center back, right? So you would take out your left back that you actually had playing and you bring in Garnacho. Now you have Garnacho and Mason Mount doing the left wing. Mason Mount knows how to come inside more because he's he can play midfield. He can come inside. You have Mason Mount and Garnacho on this side over here, and Luke Shaw can kind of still play as a center back, but move into that left back, and Euro and Harry Maguire are center backs already. So for me, this would make a lot more sense for him to have made this move and made this adjustment through the game, but it never happened. Remaining with 5 defenders on the field is just, in my opinion, the wrong thing. Even when you took out your starting right back, you bring in Dalot, like it's just defenders. And I know they're defenders that can get forward and cross the ball, but I think Garnacho and Mason Mount would have created more of an imbalance in Spurs' defense than anything else. So for me, I think that's where Ruben Amorim really needs to learn and really needs to grow quickly if he's going to manage Manchester United. Because in my opinion, the way Spurs were tucked inside, there's just no need to have that many center backs on the field, right? They were barely coming out. And if they were going to beat you on the counter, then they're going to beat you on the counter no matter what. You know what I mean? I just think with the speed of Euro back there, I just think it would have been more important to switch it into, almost like just having 3 defenders, and 3 defenders meaning Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, Euro, and Harry Maguire, and just put in offensive players going forward that way, right? That's kind of how I look at it. And then you say, well, Skills, look at the bench. Who are we going to bring in? I just think Højlund should have stayed on the field. I think that you should go with 2 strikers. I think that gives you a better opportunity to score. And with the team you have, you could have done this, because even if he pulled out a Luke Shaw, Casemiro could play center back. We've seen him back there. So if you want to keep that strategy of 3, have Casemiro dipping back and dipping, you know what I mean, and really deep. And I think that could have worked as well. So I think that Ruben Amorim today, even though his team dominated, I think he got a little bit outcoached. And I think this is going to happen in these big matches. And me and my cousin talked about this loads. If you look at Sporting's beginning of the season, he tried to use Sporting in a 4-back. He tried. And it was the first game of the season. It was a Supertaça game, and it was against Porto. And Porto had a terrible season this year, by the way. But in that game, Sporting was winning like 2-0 or 3-0, and Porto comes back and beats them. But if you look at what Sporting ran that game, it wasn't their typical 5-back, 3-back formation. He tried different things. And I think me and my cousin talked about it. He's like, I think he's trying to get ready for that next step in his career. So when he makes it to a bigger European team, he can switch to the four backs and stuff. But it didn't work for him in the Porto game, Porto versus Sporting, and it looked like he was afraid to change to it today. So that's my opinion on the Manchester United game. I am so happy for Ronaldo. I want to tell y'all something. I know a lot of people hate Spurs. I don't. I think Spurs is a cool. How do you say this? I like them as an English team. I think they've done a lot for our sport over the year. You might say no, but Luka Modric through Spurs, Ronaldo, Harry Kane. I was Eriksen through Spurs. Eriksen was through Spurs, wasn't he? I think he was. Eriksen. I think he was through Spurs, right? Also, where was Eriksen today? Yeah, Eriksen was through Spurs. He started at Spurs, right? Or like that's. Didn't he come up through Spurs? Yeah, he did. Eriksen, Modric went through Spurs. Harry Kane, Ronaldo. Like, we've seen some really good players. Bale, like, they're a cool team, man. And I'm very happy for Son, man. He's a good player that's played really hard, never got to win anything like that, and he got something today. So, Manchester United fans, it's unfortunate. I feel for y'all, man. I know it sucks, but it will get better. And I think that this is going to be, if they stick with Ruben, this is going to be the craziest offseason you guys ever seen, I would imagine. And I think that you guys are going to look very, very different next year. For Ruben, I'm scared for him. I think that he has about 4 to 5 months when this new season starts. And if he doesn't start to show something quickly, I think he is out of there. But I still think he is one of the better young managers out there. Him, Xabi Alonso, all that stuff. But today he just, unlucky goal that he suffered, and he just wasn't able to adapt, in my opinion. He just had to adapt, and he couldn't. I love you guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Spurs, congratulations. Enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below. Did Spurs have a better season than Arsenal? Yes or no?